Thank you very much. So I want to show you today some strain gradient plasticity models of localization in isotropic medium, and very simple case, but at large deformations and the trouble we got with our former models, in fact. So that's why, and I will propose some extension. And this is joint work with Jean-Michel Scherer, who is a PhD student with us, and also with the this Center for Atomic and Alternative Energies, okay, in France, and my colleague also from there. So first, I want to go back to some large deformation formulation of strain gradient plasticity, or more generally what I call micromorphic approach. In fact, I will show it simply to show you that there are different possibilities which are quite simple, in fact. I mean, Lagrange, Euler, or something in between for plasticity. And we will apply it to a specific model, and the specific model will be the formation of a shear band, simply. And to take really a shear band, I have chosen a single crystal, because then you are really slip in a slip plane, so this is a pure shear band. And I would like to discuss with you the solution we get when we introduce softening and then a formation of a localization band. And you will see that at the end, I will start with a very simple model with a constant length scale in the model, and you will see that I will have to change a bit this for large deformation. We'll see why. Okay, so this micromorphic approach, it goes back to Ehringen, because he said that there is macro deformation, but there is some remembrance of the microstructure in the form of directors. And directors are not only important in politics, but they are important also in mechanics. You have directors, and you have to follow them and look at their gradient here. You have the gradient of the micro deformation here. This, in addition to the gradient of the displacement. In this presentation, I will not take the full micromorphic theory of Ehringen, because it's quite heavy. You have 3 directors. I will simply take a scalar quantity which is, reflects some microstructure, and in our case it will be something like plasticity. I will show you more precisely when we are presenting the constitutive equations. Okay, but just assume that we have an additional quantity here in addition to the displacement, which is a scalar quantity, and we will follow also its gradient. So this is and we have balance equation for that, because due to the gradient, like for the displacement here, you have the effect of the stress. So we have also effect of the gradient of the micromorphic deformation here, and we have a conjugate higher order stress, which we could call sort of coupled stress, in fact. We have balance equations, standard ones, with the Cauchy stress here, the divergence, and the divergence also of the higher order stress here, with the coupling term here, which is this conjugate to the evolution of the micro deformation here. You have Neumann boundary conditions, standard one, or Dirichlet one also, where you prescribe the displacement or the micro deformation itself. How you do this, how you prescribe the micro deformation, is left to your dreams, in fact, but I only consider the mathematical structure of the problem, in fact. It depends on the application. And then
S is a scalar.
Yes. S is a scalar, yes. Yeah. It's a conjugate to the scalar chi here, because I consider simply a scalar.
You have a mechanical interpretation for the scalar.
This is a stress. This is a micro stress, if you want.
Okay.
This is the debate, because chi has no physical dimension. This is a strain in what I will present. Could be something else also, but here this is a strain, micro strain, in fact, and scalar measure, in fact. And then at large strain, we have to discuss about stress tensors. And I have been convinced by Francesco to call Piola stress, in fact, the purely Lagrangian stress that I will have after, which is called very often Piola-Kirchhoff of the second type, which is an ugly name. So let's call it Piola stress. Okay? But if you do this, then I propose to call the Piola-Kirchhoff the first. If you want, I propose to call it the Boussinesq tensor, because it's a French one. Okay, huh? So to make things, yes. And this is better than this dynasty of kings for PK1 and PK2. So, yeah. Okay, and you have boundary condition on the reference configuration. Here you see capital N for the normal to the reference configuration. So this is a standard framework. In fact, simple because we have only one scalar quantity in addition to that. So this is a minimal theory, if you want. But then you have to decide what you put in your constitutive equation. So I propose first to consider that the gradient, the Lagrangian gradient of the micro deformation. So you take, so this is a conventional F, you know it, the deformation gradient, standard one. So you take the Lagrange gradient of the displacement here. So I take also the gradient, the Lagrangian gradient of chi, like this. There is a knot here for the reference configuration here. But you could also compute the Eulerian one, and of course there is a relation between them due to the transport by F here. So here let's start with a purely Lagrangian formulation here, and I formulate again the power of internal forces, but in the Lagrangian format here. And there is a capital K here, which is the Lagrangian gradient of micro deformation. So these are the constitutive tools that we will use. And now more names. So we have the Piola stress here. So this is the Piola stress because I have translated everything to the Lagrangian framework. And what happens to the plasticity? The plasticity is here. You have the Mendel decomposition of the deformation gradient into two parts, multiplicative decomposition. And you have the plastic power here. Look at the plastic power here. And the conjugate stress is the fourth tensor we need. Because we need always 2, 4 and pairwise tensors in mechanics. This is our vision of the world, if you want. So there was only 3, Cauchy, Boussinesq, and Piola. And we add the Mendel stress tensor. And the difference is the variance here. You see, the transport by the elastic deformation is by the transpose here to go back to the intermediate configuration, release configuration, whereas for Piola, by the inverse of the tensor. So this is a difference, okay? So these are the quantity we have now, and we put all this into the free energy density function. So we have the elastic strain. We take the Cauchy left Cauchy-Green tensor on the intermediate configuration, so purely elastic release. And we have some internal variables if you want some hardening. Of course, we will need that. And we have this micro deformation and its Lagrangian gradient. So this is the framework we have. And then you have the usual role of the thermodynamics. So you write your positivity of dissipation, and we propose a framework which is like that, like this: hyperelasticity for all stress quantities. So I would say the elastic Piola stress here. So the relaxed stress on the intermediate configuration, the sort of generalized Piola for the micro deformation. And also coupled stresses, also and this time they are Lagrangian, this one, because this is a Lagrange quantity. And the driving force for hardening or softening. And then the plastic flow is given by dissipation potential, which is a function of the Mendel stress. And this is the idea. And the evolution equation, if we want it to be really a standard generalized material. So this is possible to still have the same framework in generalized continuum mechanics. The standard generalized framework is very similar. And now I come to the point. I propose a very simple example of constitutive law. I take first the choice of the free energy function. So let's take a very simple case. I am interested in metals, so a quadratic potential will be enough for me. With respect to the Green-Lagrange elastic strain. It's not very sophisticated, but it's enough because the elastic strain remains small. So even if the model is not so good, I mean, regarding convexity condition and all this, but this is enough. This I will discuss later, the hardening. I will have to discuss this. And the new terms. So I choose a quadratic potential for the higher order term. So this is the essential part. Very simple, quadratic. And a constant higher order modulus here. The new material parameter is here. And of course, now I have to tell you what will be this micro deformation. What is it? It is close to the plastic strain. This one is simply the cumulative plastic strain that you have in the plastic flow rule for isotropic materials. And you see that I penalize the difference between this quantity by a quadratic potential and the modulus here, which you can consider as a constitutive modulus, or if you don't really like when you don't understand physically what it is, you can say this is a penalty term. You penalize the difference between the micro and macroplastic deformation. So now the meaning of chi is really something plastic due to that, due to this constraint. And then you see I have taken a norm of the plastic strain rate here. And if you plug all this, you calculate everything, you get this equation for the micro deformation, which is a partial differential equation like this, with the Laplace term in the Lagrange framework. So the Laplace here is a Lagrange Laplace. So this is what you find. Okay? And I have even assumed isotropy, so that the second order tensor is a scalar simply. So you have only one parameter A and the penalty coefficient h chi. If you prefer, you could even change it into a Lagrange multiplier, if you prefer. But I will present it in the way of penalty terms. You can do the same in the Eulerian framework. I will not discuss it. It's the same, it's very similar. But in the energy, I put the Eulerian gradient of K and I take quadratic potential with respect to that. So it means it's not the same. Because if you have a quadratic potential in the Eulerian form, it does not mean a quadratic potential in the Lagrangian form, because you have nonlinear transport in between. So this is a constitutive choice. You have to think what is better for your model. I don't know the answer. In fact, it depends on the material. And then you end up with, again, a sort of regularization equation here, also, no, this one here, where you have a Laplace operator, but Eulerian Laplace. So this is what you get. And in fact, there is something in between, because you could say also, why Eulerian, why Lagrange? We are working on the intermediate configuration. It's better for plasticity. So we should transport the field on the intermediate configuration, the K here. So this is the K sharp. Okay. So this is the third choice. Of course, there are other, but I say in this case of multiplicative decomposition, you have at least 3 choices for your constitutive law. They are all different, of course. And you can do all the work, and there is a difference here. There is no Laplace equation because of the lack of compatibility of the intermediate configuration. You have no explicit equation. You have a complex form of the partial differential equation. And what you get also perhaps in this one, what is also important is that the model is a bit changed. The Mundell stress alone is not anymore the driving force for plastic flow. You have to add something coming from the relaxed gradient of micro deformation. And this is kinematic hardening. So you see that with a scalar quantity, I have a scalar quantity. In the previous case, I had some effect on scalar function, but here you end up with an effect on the stress tensor. And this is a kinematic hardening. And you see the equation is not a Laplace anymore because you cannot distribute the divergence on the gradient here because you have the FP which is there. So this is a complex regularization equation. We don't know even if it's good for simulation, but this is what you get. Let's apply this now, because this was only the framework. Let's apply it to a case where I will consider single crystal because I want to simply to consider slip on a slip plane, one single slip system. So it's a bit like a pure shear band. This is what I want to study. And then the plastic flow is due to slip systems. And you have the gamma here, which is the amount of slip system. And I will take capital N is 1, only one slip system. It's even easier. Okay, so this is the same structure. Now I have to say what is the chi I considered. So I will take here the slip, plastic slip. So there is only N equal to 1, so it's easy. I take the cumulative slip, so the cumulative shear on the slip plane. This is internal variable. And I will consider that, that chi here is a microslip variable. In the same way as before you had a sort of plastic strain, here this is plastic slip simply. More crystallographic if you want. And the energy is a function of, as usual, Green-Lagrange elastic strain here, this difference between both, and also the gradient here. I skip this. I have chosen the Lagrangian gradient. I will not do the three computation, but we have done it. Of course, there are some differences, but I will not comment on this. Okay, so now we look at the dissipation of energy. Here is due to slip. Look here, the slip rate. And we have this quantity, tau, which is the projection of the stress, the Mendel stress, on the slip system. So this is the resolved shear stress in crystal plasticity, so the driving force for slip, here. And we have this additional term, this additional stress, this microstress I mentioned, which in fact will introduce some isotropic hardening due to gradient. How? Because if you see that and you want the dissipation to be positive, I mean you are entitled to modify the usual Schmidt law, which says that the shear stress is reaching a critical value, which is a yield strength, if you want, yield stress, sorry. But we modify it in the way that we introduce also this. This is our new criterion, so you can interpret it like this. There will be plasticity when the resolved shear stress is higher than the critical resolved shear stress, corrected by this higher order stress, which comes in here. And then if you solve everything, you will have again Laplace equation which will appear, and the Lagrangian one, because I have chosen the Lagrangian one. And I give a flavor of the case of when you take the intermediate configuration, you get kinematic hardening. But I will not consider it because at the first order, the model gives the same results, only at large strain they give different results. Okay, let's apply it now. So this is the energy I consider, elastic moduli, penalization, quadratic potential with one parameter here, A. So the physical dimension of A is megapascal multiplied by square of the length, so it's Newton in fact. So this is where the intrinsic constitutive length is coded in the model in fact. And then very important, the hardening that I will use, hardening or softening. So this is a function of slip. I will make some choices after, but at the beginning I take it general function. Can be nonlinear hardening. Yeah. And so we see now that we have, this is the yield function. So you see the initial yield stress here. You see this hardening due to microstress tensor, which is there. And this is in fact the effect. Remember that in fact this S, oh sorry, it was there, I think. Yeah? I have seen, yes, it was there. You have a Laplace term in fact. So this is the usual Laplace term here that you know from Ifantis, for instance, okay? And you have, of course, standard hardening, which come in addition to that. Okay, this is interesting also to look at the strain gradient limit, where the penalty is so high that there is no difference between the microslip and the slip amount, simply. And then the gradient of microslip is nothing but the gradient of slip. This is a strain gradient plasticity model. And this is easier for the analytical solution, in fact. Okay, although I will show you both, in fact. So let's take a quadratic potential for the hardening. It means linear hardening. So you're elastic, and then you have linear hardening. H can be positive or can be negative. And we will study all these cases. So we consider simply a slip plane like that. We apply periodic slip like this. And we will look at the boundary the effect of boundary conditions also on that, and we will consider this simple hardening here, linear hardening. This is in fact the Laplace which is hidden here by this micromorphic equation. What else we can solve? I mean, I have to say that due to a balance of stresses, you have uniform shear stress. In this case, of course. So we have to take this into account, homogeneous shear, and then you take into account the fact that we have yielding, so this is 0 here. Then we find an ordinary differential equation for the microslip here. This is a second order.
Higher order balance equation.
Where do you see that? Yes, this is the balance of a moment of couple stresses. Okay. Yeah, so it gives this equation, this, and the other one is the standard equation, which gives you that the shear stress is homogeneous, simply. Yeah. Okay, now let's consider different cases. First case, H is positive. Okay, so hardening. And we solve the equation. And this is an easy equation, there is nothing special. And you find exponential solution with a characteristic length here, which comes here, lambda 0. And this characteristic length is related to the hardening modulus, the penalty constant here. And you see, if you let the penalty goes to infinity, you will have a special case where you have this, in fact, simply the ratio of hardening modulus and also the higher order modulus here. We assume this, of course, H can be negative, but H chi must be high enough that it's positive. I have put absolute value because I will use it later on with negative modulus, but here it's positive. So, and then you can, of course, solve it with a strain control. Okay, so this is a type of solution. Now consider the case H is 0. So you have no hardening, it's perfect plasticity, slip lines as you mentioned earlier, slip line parabolic case in fact. So in that case the solution is different, it's not an exponential function, it's a parabolic function of the position. So you have a band, I will show the profiles, this is a parabolic solution. So there is no real, there is a length scale of course which is the curvature of the parabola. But this length scale, you see, will depend, you will see later, will depend on the boundary condition. This is not an intrinsic one, you will see one. Here it is intrinsic, because you see depends, the length scale depends only on the moduli, in fact. But in this case, it will depend where you pin, in fact, the plasticity. Yes, okay. So these are the results. Hardening modulus, I have put some Dirichlet boundary condition, 0 slip here. So you have a boundary layer. There is no localization, of course, because it's hardening. So you have simply a boundary here. So this is the solution. Now, parabolic case with the same boundary condition, you get a parabola. And if you have a larger zone, you will have a change of curvature. So there is no real, the length scale is related to the size of the structure. Okay, and then we come to the negative case. So in the negative case, negative modulus, then we get harmonic solution with cosine and sinus. And then again you have the same intrinsic length, which essentially is the ratio between, I should put absolute value here, because this is a negative here. So you have the A and the H. So you see it's very clear how it depends on, of course, this length, lambda 0, is the length of the problem, the shear problem. If you change the boundary condition or the loading, you will have a different solution. It will always be a function of A and H in that case. So you find this, and of course if you look at the profile, this is a cosine function simply, and this is a localization zone. Okay, and the problem is if you do large strains, if you have linear hardening, after a bit of strain, you will have negative stress, so it's not so nice. So at some day, the negative hardening has to stop. You have to find some limit stress or something. So this is what we are doing here. We consider some exponential function. So we take an exponential decrease. I mean, if you want to simulate 100% and you have a slope with localization, very soon you will have a problem with your model if you don't try to make saturation. I'm not interested in fracture, I want simply to have plasticity. So we do some exponential function, we try to solve it. So Jean-Michel has found a way to solve this, at least approximately. So I don't go into the details of this solution, but this is the result. The result is that, in fact, what happens is that you have the decreasing, of course you have the decrease of the tangent modulus. At the beginning it's negative and then goes to 0 because it's an exponential function, the hardening. So the approximate solution we have worked out is simply that you take at a given plastic strain, you take the tangent and you solve in the same way as for a negative modulus. It gives a cosine and you have the shape, but of course the shape will change and you will in fact go to 0 modulus. So you will switch from the cosine solution moving towards the parabolic solution. And this is what you see in the picture. The band is broadening. So you wanted to make localization, You were happy with your softening, but if you look 100% later, it will be like that with this simple model. So we tried to change it, and for that we proposed. This is not the only possibility. This is the one I propose you, and we can discuss. We said, okay, we should not take a constant intrinsic length. It should be a function of the plastic strain. And this is something we have in fracture. In fracture, I mean, at the end you have a free surface, so also the length scale goes to 0, in fact. So this is something similar here. We have a function here, but which function? So we have chosen this function here. We take the second derivative. It's related to the second derivative of the hardening. Why? Because we have conceived the model such that during the softening, you have a constant bandwidth. Okay? This is the design. Because if you change the tangent modulus, you will change the bandwidth if you take the previous model, which was very simple. So we adapt the length scale, the intrinsic one, so that you have a constant bandwidth. It's not exact, because once you propose this, the thermodynamics comes back and tell you that there will be a coupling. Because, of course, there is a coupling here between this variable and this one. So you will have some additional term, nonlinear terms, which comes in play. And so we are not sure it will work, in fact. And so this is this additional hardening. We have a new sort of hardening, which is due to the coupling between, I mean, this is due to the gradient term, which was not the case in the previous, because A did not depend on gamma cube. So this is a new term. And so Jean-Michel has tried to solve this with an exponential function here. He has a nice tentative solution, approximate solution, where in fact we discard the nonlinear term because it's too difficult. And he has found that if you make a sort of change of variable into this differential equation, which now is terrible because you have exponential inside, so this is nasty. So you do this change of variable and you can work out a solution which is like a harmonic solution with a constant width, this lambda 0, capital lambda 0. It's not exactly that, because you see the solution is this harmonic solution and there is a correction due to this gamma term, exponential term, which remains small sometime. I will show it now. This is a result. If you have not much deformation, the solution is perfect. And if you increase the strain, you have still localization. You see the bandwidth remain the same. We have no broadening. But the analytical solution is not exact anymore. So this is finite element simulation. And what happens after? What happens after? Because this is during the exponential drop. But what happens when you reach the plateau, in fact? And this is what happens. I mean, if you see, the A is nothing but the second derivative here of the free energy, so you will go to 0. So you will reach the not the parabolic, the zero, the classical case. No gradient energy anymore. So you will see the bandwidth is always the same here, but inside it will localize. And this is what we expect. And I will stop here because this is open for discussion, of course. Thank you.